What is up, guys? This is the 22nd episode of the Trackside Girls podcast.
It don't matter what I do now.
Yeah. But we're back for the week. Let's see. So as always, NASCAR first. We got quite a lot of announcements, I feel like. A lot of stuff has happened. But we're gonna go over the races, the two races real quick, and then we'll get into all of the industry updates that has happened in this silly season. So first, Xfinity, really the big thing that happened in practice was Justin Allgaier hit the tire barriers in turn, was that 4? 5? Something like that. But he had hit the tire barriers, bounced off, minimal damage. But you had newcomer Alon Day. Either the communication did not go through, or the spotter did not mention it to let him know to slow down on this corner, and ended up sideswiping Justin Allgaier while he was sitting there waiting for cars to pass so he could continue on down the track. Alonde was in one of the cars that had to qualify to get into the race, and there was not enough time for them to fix the damage that he had before qualifying. And it ripped up the entire side of his car, busted up the rear bumper of Justin Allgaier's. They had to go to a backup car. They got him back out there, started from the rear on the race, but was still able to get back on track. Mayura, I believe he spun twice, right? I think at least twice. And there was just a couple other people. Oh no, sorry, that was qualifying. Practice. Oh yeah, he did spin. He spun 3 times in practice. And then Daniel Suarez spun in turn 2, and Sage Karam wrecked in turn 6 and had to go to a backup car. As for qualifying, Thomas, I can't ever say his name, went off into the runoff area with Ty Dillon, where they made slight contact, and then also Mayura spun again in qualifying. But in that, for the race, it sent quite a bit of drivers to the rear. Justin Allgaier, Sage Karam, Sheldon Creed, John Hunter, Kyle Sieg, Parker Kligerman, who had an engine change, Daniel Suarez, and Ryan Sieg with unapproved adjustments. Right out of the gate, before the drop of the green flag, Blaine Perkins had issues with his brakes not working. And so they finally got them fixed. He was at least 2 laps down, and he had to stop on the front stretch to show NASCAR that his brakes were working, for him to not get black flagged. But it was Shane Van Gisbergen that got the pole for Xfinity, with Kyle Larson starting on the outside. And so into the race was a caution on lap 7 for Matt DiBenedetto, spinning in turn 4. He kept going, but there was debris, so they threw the caution. And Justin Allgaier went to go pit under green on lap 12, but ended up spinning after contact from Ryan Sieg, because with the way that the pit road is at Chicago, it's very narrow. Like, if you're coming out of the final turn, you either stay very close to the inside and make an immediate right into the pit lane, or you keep it a little wider and continue down the front stretch. And with Justin Allgaier slowing up so much, Ryan didn't really see that and ended up spinning him as he was going into the pits. And so Shane ended up winning stage 1. On lap 23, you had AJ Allmendinger wheel hop in turn 6 and with damages to the right side of his car, so it brought out the caution. Then they go green up until Austin Hills wins stage 2. There on lap 36, there was a crash in turn 12 with Sage Karam into the back of Josh Bilicki, who goes into the back of Kyle Sieg. And it also includes Andre Castro and Parker Retzlaff also make contact. Parker Retzlaff's hood was above clearance. No, actually, his was up against the windshield. And Blaine was also involved that pushed his hood up as well. So you had those guys go to pit road to fix their damages. Then you had Preston Pardus stopped in turn 12 with no power on lap 41. The caution comes out for that. Let's see, I feel like the most, I don't know, probably the most damaging one of incident of this race was Leland Honeyman getting into the turn 1 tire barrier after his right front went flat, but he was stuck underneath the tires, so they had to bring out the caution to pull him out of there. See, Sheldon Creed spins from 5th on the restart due to contact with Parker Kligerman. And then lap 50, Shane Van Gisbergen wins. Which I feel like we knew that Shane was going to be a force to be reckoned with at this track, considering he went out in a cup car last year and just took everybody to school. But he ended up winning, which that was my pick for the race. But he did his signature kick across the I'm just gonna call it a rugby ball. I think that's all it is. I don't know if there's a special name for it or what, but he kicked a rugby ball.
I think that's all it's called, as a rugby ball. I don't know what else they would call it, actually.
And as far as I'm aware, there wasn't any altercations between drivers after the race that I was aware of, at least. But then you had the cup race. You thought Shane was gonna go out there and get him again, but he actually ended up qualifying 4th.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually literally fell asleep after stage 1 ended, because that's when it went into the rain delay. And then I just rewatched it to realize that I missed absolutely nothing. I woke up as Todd was getting interviewed, but I fell asleep because
I also fell asleep. And then I woke back up, and somehow the stream that I had on had reset and restarted, and I was sitting there and I was like, but it was right after they called the drivers back to their cars. So I'm sitting here and they're like, it was almost as if they're replaying everything from earlier, and I'm like, why? They called them back to their cars like an hour ago. Why are they still replaying?
I literally fell asleep. Molly was texting me. She's like, "Are you awake? Are you awake?" And I'm like, I texted her back at like 7, and I was like, I just woke up. Yeah. So I fell asleep after stage one.
But
Didn't miss any.
let's see. Nothing really happened in practice. Um, Josh Bilicki failed inspection 3 times and had a crew member ejected and was not permitted to qualify and had to serve a pass-through penalty. For qualifying, Corey LaJoy got damaged after getting into the turn 8 wall. Chris Buescher got into the wall and broke a toe link in turns 4 and 5. Um, Josh Berry spun in turn 5 and made contact with the wall. Brad Keselowski spun and made contact with turn 11 wall. William Byron had a power steering issue. You had Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, Corey LaJoy, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Harrison Burton, William Byron, Eric Jones, all starting in the rear for unapproved adjustments. And so the rain started before the start of the race, and teams were given the option to change to the wet weather tires. And they were given one opportunity to come down pit road and change tires and retain their starting position after the first pace lap. And so the cars that decided to start on the wet weather tires were Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Corey LaJoy, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex, and Joey Logano, and Zane Smith. But it was Kyle Larson on the pole. Ty Gibbs starting second. And he took the lead already, like right out of turn 1. With them racing, they can run in a decent amount of rain, but like not heavy rain. Like they're equipped with like a light rain package, but it's not like full on. It's mainly like the spray, and you can't see much.
Well, I
But
mean, I saw parts of radioactivity, and half the drivers when it started like downpouring, they're like, I can't see. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going because they
there
couldn't even see.
yeah, there was a few drivers that made the comments of the only thing I could see was the lights flashing, like in front of me. I could not see the rear end of their car.
And some of the guys' windshield wipers wasn't working.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Carson that said that like it was only working on my passenger side? So if you were
Mhm.
if you were
Carson's
over there,
yeah. Alex said that his wasn't working as well as it should have been, which is how he got into Bubba because he couldn't see because it wasn't working that well.
um,
I even saw on Twitter it was Truex is in car radio. It's like the caution came out and he came over the radio. He's like, I can't see nothing. This is crazy. He's like, what are we doing? I can't see nothing.
but they did end up um bringing them all in, and something you don't normally see on a road, or like on a road course, um is the leaders caught the end of the field because there were multiple drivers on 2 different types of tires. um so there were some that ended up going laps down because of this, and you had a couple spins. Like Ricky Stenhouse spun on lap 13. You had Corey LaJoy, but that actually brings out a caution on lap 17 because he ends up hitting the wall. And so that's when more rain begins to fall, but Shane Van Gisbergen ends up winning stage 1. On coming off of pit road, the field kind of stacks up, and Tyler Reddick slides into the back of his teammate Bubba Wallace and spins him around. But because of this caution, you had a lot of drivers take the wave around, William Byron, Corey LaJoy, Eric Jones, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney, Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Harrison Burton, all to get them back onto the lead lap when they were all but Corey and Harrison were still on the wet tires. And so Zane Smith leads at this moment in the restart zone. Christopher Bell second. Bubba Wallace spins at the exit of turn 2, coming across the nose of Daniel Suarez and ends up blocking the track. And so Chase Briscoe runs into the back of Shane. In turn 6, Chase Briscoe spins, hits the tire barrier, and also Shane hits the outside wall in turn 6, and that ends up ending Shane's race. And this was all before the red flag. Then Bubba Wallace ends up coming to the pit for repairs. They're brought down pit road and stopped, allowing the track crews to go back to try to dry off some of it, get some of the standing water out of the way. But the drivers returned to their cars an hour and 15 minutes into the red flag, but it was called off for more rain in turn 11. The cars returned to track an hour and 43 minutes later. And so the way that they had to do this, because they're in the city limits of Chicago, they had a time limit with like the city ordinance and stuff. So they could only be racing until 8:20 local time. And the time that they got back to the cars, got them in there, 7:15. So they had an hour and 5 minutes left of this race. They were not going to complete the entire laps because they were only not even halfway. I don't think.
And there's no lights whatsoever down there.
Yeah.
And if there is, there's not any, because I've been in Chicago and there's like no lights. It's dark.
Yeah,
you can't see anything.
It's not like F1 in Vegas where they have a million floodlights on hand. NASCAR's not like that. We're not equipped to run on a street race at night.
No.
But so they were on a time limit. They were on a time crunch. But they got them restarted single file. Ty Gibbs in the lead. Christopher Bell second. It goes Denny Hamlin locks rear brakes and gets into Ricky Stenhouse. And they both spin into the tire barrier. But both of them get rolling again. And Kyle Larson is running third at this moment and locks up and actually goes very hard into the turn 6 tire barrier. And his car is buried under the tires, quite literally. I think he might have clipped Ty Gibbs from the footage that I've seen. And then, so that kind of also sent him. But he was stuck under the tires, had to be pulled and towed back to the pits. After that caution, they restarted again, single file. And it was Josh Berry into the turn 4 wall. Chase Briscoe was off course. But it remains green. You had a lot of cars sliding around. You had Ryan Preece locking up in turn 6, hits the tire barrier, but keeps going. They finally started to switch over to dry tires, but it was Joey Hand who was leading and ended up winning stage 2. I had a lot of my friends message me. They're like, who in the world is Joey Hand? Well,
My mom was asking me who that was, and I'm like, I don't know, some random guy driving. Clearly, I don't know who that is.
So Joey Hand actually used to run the road course races last season and the year before for in the 15 car. That's what I most know him for. But he has ran in NASCAR before, but that's he's primarily a road course racer. Which is why RFK brought him in. I do believe he is part of like Ford and Ford Performance, so I think that is why he has driven breakaware equipment, because they are Ford. But he ended up winning stage 2, and it stayed a single file restart. Alex Bowman started the second stage behind Joey Hand, but he ended up outbraking him and got him within the first lap of the restart, I believe. AJ Allmendinger spun at this after that restart as well. You had Chase Briscoe spin, John Hunter Nemechek spin. Let's see, Christopher Bell and Martin Truex get together in turn 2, but it turns Christopher Bell and ends up getting hit by Carson Hocevar. Unfortunately. Kind of ruined Carson's day. He was doing so well, I think running like 7th or something, and because he had nowhere to go, unfortunately his top 10 was taken away from him. But again, keep in mind they're on a countdown clock. The way it worked, as soon as the countdown ended, you had to see the white flag and then the checkered. So you had, it almost felt like an IMSA race, like with how this was going. But Alex Bowman.
The boys were physically on a time crunch.
Yes, quite literally.
So they were doing anything they could to get a better position. If it meant wrecking people out, it meant moving people out of their way.
And but it was really close between Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick, but Tyler Reddick made a mistake and clipped one of the walls in, I think, turn 7, I think it was, and kind of just destroyed any momentum that he had to try and catch Alex Bowman. But it was Alex that won. And during this cooldown lap, Bubba Wallace deliberately swerved into Alex Bowman on the cooldown lap. Alex came out and said that like it was warranted, and basically vouched for Bubba to not.
Alex has now made 3 apologies to Bubba and his team because when everybody was telling everybody was tagging NASCAR and telling them to go back and review it to penalize Bubba. Alex has already said that he doesn't want Bubba to get penalized because Alex said that he kind of deserved it for what he did to Bubba.
So, for our other NASCAR news, we found out after we filmed last week, Josh Berry is going to be in the 21 car. I feel like that kind of ruins everything for Lakota because she's got so much 21. I know obviously it's still labeled Harrison Burton on most of that, but I'm sure people are gonna see the 21 and be like, oh my gosh, Josh Berry. No, Harrison Burton. Or a lot of people look at 21 and they go, oh, Matt DiBenedetto. No.
physically cried when that news came out, even though I knew it was gonna come out. I still cried because it still hurts me to this very day.
I, as much as I love Harrison, I
He has to
feel,
go. He has to go back to Xfinity.
yeah,
They rushed. They rushed him entirely way too quick.
yeah, they moved him up way too fast. Like I loved the 2022 rookie class, like, but I feel like Harrison needed a little longer in Xfinity still.
I know my boy Harrison has to go back to Xfinity.
But
They definitely rushed him a little too quickly to go to Cup.
so we ended up hearing about where we had our rumors of Hooters and Hendrick parting ways. So apparently Hendrick Motorsports dropped Hooters because they could not pay their end of the deal of their sponsorship. So they had to part ways with them. So Corey Heim was racing in the Cars Tour event at Caraway last week and went flipped on the side and eventually upside down after getting squeezed against the wall. So he went for a wild ride in that race. But it is official that Hailie, Deegan and AM Racing have parted ways.
Are we surprised? Not at all. I knew this was gonna happen. The minute, the minute that she unfollowed on Twitter, I'm like, she's not racing for them anymore.
Yeah.
That she took him out of her bio on Twitter too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the first thing that I had seen that had happened, and I was like, well, if she's doing that, there's no way that she's still there. Like, so Joey Logano ran the Chicago Street Course in the car, finished 8th. Right? Everybody's like, oh, he's a 2-time champion. Like, he's got 20 years more experience, blah, blah, blah. Joey couldn't even drive his own car into a top 15. I'm pretty sure he finished 22nd in his own car. Like, I get, I am all for women in motorsports, okay? Because I am one. Obviously I don't drive, but I still want to work in the industry. But you
Yeah,
run,
Joey finished 23rd in the Cup race.
yeah. So if he can't even drive his own car to a top 10, something, do you guys try to
But to be fair, Joey finished 8th in Haley's car in the Xfinity race.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are like, so is it the car or is it the driver? Like, is it the equipment or is it the driver?
The amount of tweets that I saw of that, but everybody was bashing Hailie because they're like, I think it's just the driver. Yeah. I was like,
in my personal opinion, I think she needs to go back to ARCA, build herself back up, and then try again. Because
that's what I honestly think. Like, Haley's a nice person. The one time that I've met her, she was nice, but she needs to go back to ARCA because she really. That's all I gotta say. That's all I'm gonna say. I think she needs to go back to ARCA.
She's bringing back too many wrecked race cars. She's running laps down every week. I don't even know if she's gotten a finish better than 25th.
She hasn't.
This
and
season.
she starts fights with literally everybody because she's trying to. Because they're trying to say that they wrecked her, and it's like, no, you just didn't know how to drive your car. That's why.
She picked a fight with Lawless Allen whenever she was in trucks, and she was full on yelling in his face, listen, equal
Wasn't
rights.
that at Martinsville?
That was
I know it,
Martin. That
but
was Martinsville because you and I were there.
see,
Mhm.
but what's annoying about that is because she's a female, he can't do anything about it. Equal rights, equal fights. Okay, like I would. Listen,
See, that's the problem. She wants to argue with all of the guys. They can't do anything because they're not going to hit her because then they'll definitely be fined or even worse, suspended, and they'll never be able to come back. And she starts fights. I mean,
it's like welcome back, Danica Patrick.
oh God, no, thank you.
Even that stuff that she was saying about Riley after Talladega, right? Daytona
About
Talladega.
how Riley didn't help her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Riley would have wrecked her because she doesn't know
yeah,
how to race like that.
I was like,
no.
so what do you want Riley to do? Riley was going for the win.
Yeah, first off, Riley won't gonna help you because he's also fighting for his life. AK, he's now fighting for a ride. So there you go for that one. He's not gonna help you.
Like,
Yeah.
because what would have happened in that situation at Talladega is if Riley would have helped her, he would have wrecked her because she had like
She wasn't even going. She was just sitting there.
like I get it. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, Riley hung his manufacturer teammate out to dry. Blah blah blah. She would have wrecked if he tried to push her.
Mm-hmm. And knowing her, it would have taken him out. So he did what he had to do. And by that, I mean he was gonna ignore her and go around her. So
But
there's that.
okay, back on topic before we continue rambling. Connor Zilic was spotting for Ross, right? Was it Ross or
He
Dane?
spotted for Ross and Cup, but he also was spotting in Xfinity too.
But he was up there.
I don't remember who he was spotting.
Also, Jesse Love was spotting too.
Jesse was spotting for Austin Hill in the Cup too.
So had some rookie spotters out there this past weekend. NASCAR debuted its crossover electric vehicle. There's no plans for like an electric race or a series at this time, but they did debut it at Chicago. A lot of people think that so the front row announcement is going to be out by the time this is posted, but for us the announcement is tomorrow, whenever we're filming this, and everybody seems to believe that it's going to be Noah Gragson. I personally think that Riley and Noah would be the other pairing that front row did. Todd, Noah, and Riley. That's my theory.
I want Riley and Noah to stay together, so I want them to go to front row.
I think they're just doing one for the one driver now.
Yeah.
I think the 34 car, and everybody's saying it's Noah. It's gonna be Noah.
Yeah.
Well,
I believe they're getting. Well, they have 3 charters now, so they haven't announced that final car yet. So that's my theory, is they have Todd locked in. I feel like this is most likely going to be Noah, and then I think that 3rd charter is gonna go to Riley.
It's also not a coincidence that conveniently Noah has an announcement coming out on Wednesday too.
Yeah, Noah already said that. I already have pretty much a lock-in already.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be a Cup car.
And when Bob tweeted, he said it's not a coincidence that Noah and front row have a announcement coming out the same day. So if it's not Noah, don't know who it is.
Josh Berry will be in the 15 this week, in the Xfinity Series for Pocono. Oh, I was confused when I first saw this about the 46 truck. So the 46 truck is no longer Faction 46. Like it's now part of Young Motorsports. And so Thad Moffitt will still be in the 46 truck, but, or at least for Pocono. So we'll see if they stick around, if they do the remaining races or not. Rodney Childers is going to be the crew chief for Corey LaJoy on the 7 for 2025 and beyond, which I think that is the most stupidest decision Wood Brothers could have made, is to not bring Rodney Childers with Josh Berry. Like, I don't doubt Josh Berry has talent, but I don't see that car running much better than Harrison is without Rodney Childers. Without a good crew chief. And so the current crew chief, Ryan Sparks, is going to be moving to competition director full time starting 2025. Let's see, I sent a few things.
That seems to be the theme for crew chiefs, is they don't do it and then they actually still work in the organization as something.
Let's see. You have Greg Van Alst running in the 07 in the Xfinity Series for SS Greenlight for Indy. Then you have Connor Daly running in the 44 Nice truck for Indy, Kansas, and Homestead.
Kansas.
Yep. Did you guys see that picture the picture I sent with all three of them, and I said I said me and the crew when we pull up to the function.
That's funny. That's funny though.
But okay, yeah. I think, let's see. So there has been no penalty for the Wallace and Bowman or Elliott and Suarez contact or as of yet.
Yeah, it should come out tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll find out more about that.
Oh, I saw the video. Man, Chase was hot and heavy going over to Daniel. I was like, I didn't even know what happened until I saw it on Twitter. But that was also probably because I was sleeping. But I was like, oh man, someone's in trouble. My pick one because I picked Alex.
Yes. So actually, the way out of the entire 4 races, Lakota got 2 and I got 2. I think.
Yeah.
I was about to say your IndyCar pick 1, 2.
Yeah.
Which we're about to get into that.
I think I won.
You.
So I got one. I think I chose Lando.
Yeah, because I would have gotten all 3 if I would have put Lando third, because I put him second. Also, it's kind of funny because IndyCar.
I don't remember the long shots.
My long shot came second because I picked Alex Palou as a long shot.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I just knew you picked
So technically, my IndyCar was 1 and 2, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
But my boy Alex won.
On to IndyCar. Like we just mentioned, Paddle Award did win. But for the Grand Prix, not Grand Prix, I think it was, what is it technically called, Grand Prix? I don't know. The race at Mid-Ohio, on the pace lap, like before the green flag even dropped. Scott Dixon's car died, and he could not get it restarted. This is the first race that they are debuting the hybrid system, which the way the hybrid system works is on top of the push to pass. If you use those at the same amount of time, it's about an extra 120 horsepower. And the way it works, you can use 2 bursts of 4 seconds a lap. So you can use up to 8 seconds a lap, and you don't have to use all of those at the same time. And the way it's kind of like how Formula One, you have to recharge the battery on a lap. It's the same concept. But they kept the push to pass as well on top of the hybrid system. David Malukas started 3rd on his second race back to the sport after his injury. Let's see, Joseph Newgarden went off track during the race. You had Roman Grosjean spin with 2 laps to go and rejoins the track right in front of the leaders. So that was a little scary. But ultimately, it was a hard-fought victory for Pato O'Ward against Alex Palou. Alex Palou did increase his championship lead with coming second, but yeah, it was Pato O'Ward that won. There were some grid penalties at this race for Marcus Armstrong, the 30 of Rahal Letterman Lanigan, and the number 60 for Meyershank. And so for Iowa this weekend, they in the 51 car, it's going to be Catherine Legg, who's going to be racing the doubleheader in Iowa. So, on to Formula One. Big news! Ollie Behrman is going to be on the grid for 2025. He has gotten a seat at Haas with a multi-year contract. And something very strange. Pierre Gasly got a 50-place grid penalty. Obviously, with 20 cars, you can't start worse than 20th. But he had to serve a 50-place grid penalty this past weekend at the British Grand Prix. So you get, for each additional element that you use over the amount allocated, it's a 10-place grid penalty. So he got a penalty for his 5th internal combustion engine, his 5th turbocharger, his 5th motor generator unit heat, and then motor generator unit kinetic, and 3rd control electronics. So he got 10 places for each one of those elements. So which is how he got a 50-place grid penalty. We always joke about the 10-second penalty for Esteban Ocon, but now Pierre has his meat. So as for them, in practice 1, it was Lando Norris first, Stroll second, and Oscar Piastri third. So of course McLaren looking fast again for the British Grand Prix. FP2, Lando P1, Oscar P2, and Checo Perez P3. You haven't really been seeing him at the top recently. And for FP3, you had George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, and Lando Norris. For qualifying, it was George Russell on pole. You had Alex Albon get into Q3. Both Aston Martins. You had Nico Hulkenberg starting 6th. Let's see. And Logan Sargent started 12th. I believe that is his highest ever in the past two seasons of him, how high he started. For the race, Pierre Gasly was actually out before the start with a gearbox issue. And rain started on lap 15. And both Mercedes go off track during this on lap 19. But lap 34, George Russell actually retires from the race with a suspected water system issue. It dries up again by the end of the race, but it is Lewis Hamilton that wins the British Grand Prix, which he was one of my picks. I believe he was my long shot. Which, like, I think this is 104th win, I believe. But a British driver winning the British Grand Prix. You had Max P2 and Lando P3. And with Lewis winning, he breaks his streak of the last time he won was, I believe, Brazil of 2022, or it might have been 2021. It's been a hot minute since he has won. But Nico Hulkenberg got points. Alex Albon got points. Logan finished 11th. And Charles had a bad day, finished 14th. Checo finished 17th. And Lewis Hamilton was driver of the day. That means on to this weekend. It is all 3 series of NASCAR at Pocono, the tricky triangle. And we have a double header in Iowa for IndyCar. So something that's new for the hybrid system for IndyCar, they implemented a new thing with the hybrid component that if a car stalls on a road or street course, the driver can quickly restart the car using the hybrid system and continue without having to bring out the AMR safety team. Who, for trucks, the tricky triangle, who do we got?
I got Corey as a winner, and I got Connor Mosak as my long shot.
Okay.
I got Christian as my winner, and I got Zane as my long shot.
Oh, my boy Christian. Love him, man. He's so good. Favorite.
I guess I'll go, because I'm trying not to choose the same people. I'll go the brothers. I'll go Taylor winner, Tanner long shot. I'll choose the brothers again.
I think we had a rough time last year, but I also think it's because Hailie crashed them out.
Guess we'll find out.
Guess we'll find out.
All right, for Xfinity,
I said Parker Kligerman, and then I said Daniel Dye as my long shot.
Okay.
I got Riley as my winner, and then I got Corey Heim as my long shot.
Okay.
I keep forgetting that Corey's driving.
You know what? I'm gonna take one for the team. I'm gonna go William Byron. He's in the.
I knew you were gonna.
He's in the 17. He's in the 17. So,
Knew it.
Yeah. Well, we'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. Um,
Get
and
that out of the way.
then oh, who's you know what? I'm gonna say a Brandon Jones. We'll see how this goes. A Brandon Jones.
The thing is I want Brandon to do so good. Like he's had a rough season. Rough season. Rough.
Who do we got? Who's got Carson? Who's got Ty? Who's got
I
Noah?
have Wait, I have Ty as my winner, but my long shot, I got HB.
Okay. All right.
I got Alex as my winner, and then I got Noah as my long shot.
Okay. Wow. So
But we're really going strong. It's actually Molly. It's funny that you say Alex because I'm literally wearing his Pocono one when he won there.
And I got his.
The good old hack shirt. It's a good one.
oh, you guys are about to make a face at this one. I'm gonna go Denny Hamlin.
Sorry, I had to go. I had to throw up real quick.
I'm gonna go. Then I'm gonna go teammates. I'm gonna go Truex.
I mean, that's not a terrible guess considering that Denny Hamlin won last year, and also it was literally like the top three was Joe Gibbs Racing.
So, that's also actually they cheated last year, too. So,
You know, everybody cheats. They just cheat. I don't want to say better. They just cheat, plain and
Look,
stupid, but never get caught.
So, fun theory. Okay, so this was the theory of what happened last year. Christopher Bell was also running up there with them, right? And a couple laps before the end, you see him fall back to like 6th, right? Once the 3 other Joe Gibbs cars get disqualified, he moves right on up there under the top 3. And because he wasn't already in the top 5, they didn't check his car. So, if the other 3 Joe Gibbs cars got caught with cheating, and like that's my theory, that it may have happened on all 4 of their cars, but I think Christopher Bell strategically may have backed off, knowing that they would most likely get caught. That's my theory.
That's not a terrible theory.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's actually probably just plain simple the truth, and everybody's just saying it's a theory because no one wants to call it as it is.
Like, it
Joe Gibbs,
makes
I know the racing team. I mean, I know all of the teams cheat. Okay, don't get me wrong. Obviously, they're all gonna cheat.
It's just who gets caught.
It's whether who gets caught.
That's basically all it is.
And to be fair, let's be honest here. Has Joe Gibbs Racing ever been caught? Has any officiate actually called them on cheating? No. They just let them do it and get away with it.
I mean, except for Pocono last year.
Except for that. But
like it's like the same way that the louvers that Hendrick got caught for. Like it's the same way. They just
that's true.
like if it happens before, they get fined. And then but because all 3 of their cars had it, they couldn't just disqualify one of them. They had to do all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my theory of Christopher Bell could have potentially like had that plan in the bag and was like, "Oh, let me back off a little bit."
I mean, it's not a terrible it's not a terrible theory. It might actually just be the truth, to be quite honest.
But we do have IndyCar doubleheader. So I guess we'll pick twice for this, and we can't pick. Okay, since it's a doubleheader, like we gotta pick different from what. So like if we pick somebody for the first race, we can't pick them for the second race. Is that fair?
Yeah, I gotta figure out two more people then. I didn't think it was a double header.
Yeah, they have 2 races in Iowa this weekend.
Okay, well, I have my first ones. I have Joseph as the winner, and then I have Will Power as the long shot.
I have Scott McLaughlin as the winner and Scott Dixon as a long shot.
Okay, you got the Scots. Lakota, what did you say?
I have Joseph Newgarden and Will Power.
Okay.
Oh, Lord. That's just gonna be tricky.
Okay, I'll go Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood for the first race, and then I'm gonna go Pato and Alex Rossi for the second race. So I'm gonna go teammates.
This is gonna be so hard. Okay, I'll say Alex Flo for the second one, and we'll just say Marcus Armstrong. We'll just go with those ones.
We'll see. I don't know his track record on ovals, so we'll see how this goes.
I panicked, and those were the first two names that I saw that you didn't say.
Fair.
So it's fine. It's fine.
I guess let's do Marcus Erickson.
Erickson.
And then let's just do Santina Ferrucci.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the 22nd episode of the Trackside Girls podcast, season 2. Let's do our outro. Let's get on out of here. It goes, peace, love, and race cars. Oh, you guys, Alex Bowman for his win. Yep. Good night, everybody.
Peace.